At that moment, 4 scythes remained. The system was wounded and the counterstrike began. At 0438, Starlink uplink was re-established and the Bayraktar TB2 fed a clean thermal picture into the hardened bunker. Chaotic heat trails and false radar echoes painted the sky while command consoles spat warnings. One scythe broke formation and accelerated toward Panzer S1 Battery Alpha. Flying at 92 mph and skimming just 32 feet above the sea, it released a burst of counterflares to confuse IR seekers, then pushed into a final terminal dive. Impact was confirmed. The 154-pound shaped charge detonated against the turret. The copper jet penetrated armor and ignited the ammunition feed. Temperatures spiked above 2,800 degrees. Shrapnel sprayed across a 120-foot radius, and a 30-foot fireball rose into the night. Local seismic nodes recorded a 2.1 magnitude event. Panzer S1 Battery Alpha was neutralized. Simultaneously, 3 Orion Hunter interceptors launched from a coastal airbase. Speed 120 mm, armed with KAB-20 laser-guided munitions. One locked onto the thermal bloom of a Mura V5 turning in the water and fired. The Mura detonated prematurely. A column of fire and water rose 26 feet as metal fragments rained down. In seconds, half of the naval strike package was lost. The surviving operator in the bunker ordered an immediate tactical adjustment. The last Mura V5 reduced speed to 18 fathoms to minimize wake and infrared signature, riding the troughs between waves. The 3 remaining scythes entered cold mode. Exhaust redirected upward, heat emissions masked, and flight paths adjusted to hug sheer cliffs and break IR profiles. The TB2 stabilized at 27,000 feet and relayed fresh coordinates. One scythe peeled off, climbed behind the Orion pair's blind sector, and closed from the rear at 87 Tantrag. At 0440, the drone struck. The Orion disintegrated in mid-air, and burning wreckage tumbled into the Black Sea. The remaining Orions experienced telemetry loss and hesitated. Command latency and visual blackout bought the attackers precious seconds. Now only 2 scythes and 1 Mura remained, and they breached the outer defense ring. The flagship activated its AK-630 CIWS. The deck gun spat a stream of 30mm rounds at thousands per minute. One scythe was shredded mid-turn. Carbon fiber and electronics scattered into the night. The last scythe adopted a serpentine pattern, each sudden swerve calculated to desynchronize the turret's fire control solution. The Mura launched a final cloud of chaff. Aluminum fibers bloomed across enemy radar scopes, and ghost echoes multiplied. The AK-630 tracers stitched the sky, but ship roll and 6-foot swells prevented exact stabilization. After 19 seconds of continuous fire, the CIWS exhausted its magazines and cycled dry. Radar lock decayed. At 0443, the Bayraktar marked the fuel depot and the vertical launch tubes with laser designators. Final coordinates transmitted. The last scythe dove and the shaped charge struck beneath the pier. The copper jet cut through 1 inch of deck steel and punctured an exposed fuel tank. Internal pressure built instantly. The initial fireball rose 31 feet as shock waves rolled outward and windows shattered within 300 yards. Seismic monitors logged a 3.4 magnitude disturbance. Burning fuel flowed toward the missile deck. Heat warped launch housings and guidance assemblies. The 8 Pukong 3 guidance modules were rendered inoperative by heat and particulate contamination. The flagship remained afloat, but its offensive capability was destroyed. Missile tubes scorched, launch rails fused, sensors blinded by soot and heat. Smoke blackened the port side and the harbor's fortress facade had been stripped bare. By 0445, Novorossiysk burned. Less than 15 minutes of coordinated low-cost action had dismantled a billion-dollar strike platform using equipment with an aggregate replacement value under $2 million. No aircraft were committed. No satellites were physically struck. Victory was achieved with plywood frames, software-defined targeting, and tactical discipline. Inside the bunker there was no cheering. Operators monitored satellite overlays and ISR feeds as the harbor burned. Charred steel, ruptured tanks, fuel sheening across the bay. Silence replaced adrenaline. the measured quiet of teams who understood the implications beyond immediate success. This was not merely a tactical victory. It was a strategic message. Asymmetric systems, properly employed, can nullify conventional capital investment. Assessment at 05:00 hours recorded the enemy flagship with immobilized offensive systems while hull integrity remained. Coastal CIWS and selected Panzer batteries were degraded or destroyed. Air and naval situational awareness had been temporarily denied via EMP and chaff, restored within 10 to 15 minutes. Friendly losses included approximately 50% of unmanned naval assets and 1 or 2 Scythe airframes. Civilian casualties. None reported in initial overlays. Further damage assessment remained ongoing. Intelligence quickly filled in the operational picture. Satellite thermal anomalies correlated with local eyewitness geolocations. Open-source footage matched impact points, consistent with inertial trajectory estimates from the Scythe units. Electronic signature analysis confirmed a short, localized EMP burst consistent with Kasuka 4 employment. Operational implications were clear. The hybrid ghost strike exposed critical vulnerabilities in static littoral defense postures. Heavy investment in kinetic platforms and CIWS can be defeated through a layered approach combining deceptive radar signatures, inertial resilient autonomous guidance, coordinated loitering munitions, and precision terminal effects. Adversaries with agile command and control and low technical discipline will be outpaced. Strategic calculus shifted. The introduction of AI-assisted inertial navigation and terrain-following targeting changes the cost equation of littoral strike. A single low-cost precision engagement can neutralize high-value assets and force redeployment of scarce air defense resources away from frontline sectors. This redistributes pressure across the broader theater and creates operational windows for follow-on actions. Command note: the operation demonstrated the value of integrated multi-domain tactics, EW suppression, decoys, low observable penetration, and precise terminal effectors synchronized by resilient data links. Countermeasures must evolve. Hardened emitters with redundant sensors, rapid mount counter-battery procedures, and dispersed logistics to reduce single-point failures. Public messaging and information operations were controlled. Competing narratives surfaced within hours. Technical malfunction, transformer explosion, accidental detonation. Analysts cross-referenced telemetry and open feeds. The strike profile matched an organized and rehearsed engagement. The campaign's psychological effect was immediate. Industrial confidence shaken, and internal lines of logistical support forced to be reassessed. Final operational observation. Tonight's engagement was a force multiplier demonstration and a clear indicator that modern conflicts will be decided not solely by platform cost or tonnage, but by integration, adaptability, and intelligent application of low-cost systems. The battlefield's center of gravity is shifting. Viewer engagement queue, refined for broadcast. Comment with 1 if you assess that North Korea's indigenous underwater fleet could challenge layered U.S. naval dominance. Comment 2 if you judge that U.S. carrier strike groups and attack submarines still hold uncontested sway in deep-sea conflict. End of report summary. Novorossiysk was neutralized as an immediate offensive node. The flagship survived as a hulk but lost combat capability. The attackers achieved strategic disruption with minimal conventional expenditure. Recovering from the attack will require months and significant capital investment, if repair is even feasible under continued threat conditions. Operational closing. Document archived. Intelligence exploitation ongoing. Recommendations forwarded to Strategic Command for Force Posture Review.